podcast. Let's go start with a meditation. We're gonna start like this. Are you ready? Do the one. Do like one. This. Put your arms. Everybody, put your arms. Pretend you're like a Buddha. You know the one where you do your arms like a. Like Mr. Krabs. Like a crab, kind of. I never realised this.
So, do you touch your middle finger and your index?
I do. I don't know if you're supposed to.
Or it's just supposed to. But that's
like
the
this.
okay.
Yeah, let's do okay symbol like that. Let's do like that. So we're doing like okay symbols, arms out like
looks
crabs.
more right. Just
and maybe we should align the O's to the camera that we've got here like this.
I'm not in frame.
No, like these ones, turn that round.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we've aligned our hands, and then we close our eyes and we all go... I wanted to make a joke of some kind, but I just went instead. Yeah, great start, everybody. We did it. We did a nice meditation at the start. Anyway... So about that serial killer show where he shoots himself. No, we've got a lot of like shit going on to talk about today. We're kind of in an odd period where there's not a lot to talk about specifically. It's just general chill podcast vibes until we're ready for the big episode 250 finale. I've got all sorts of shit going on before we even get to then. I might even be going to Japan. And stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
I thought you were telling me that you probably wouldn't. Is that something that you might do with your mum?
No.
Yeah, because I remember I was saying, why don't you do Japan? And you were
we were talking about the LAN being in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the LAN. It's actually separate to that by accident. Okay. So there's even that on the cards. I've got music videos. There's weddings. There's all sorts that I can. There's so much stuff to think about before I even try and think about the big finale. Yeah. So we're still in kind of like just vibing until that's ready. Yeah. But I can't even think about that yet type of territory. But don't worry, it's going to be chill. There's going to be some like outdated topics that you might already know about, such as TV shows you've already seen, games you might have already played, consoles that you bought about 10 years ago, but it feels like they should still be new.
Yeah.
And Dr. Disrespect, fuck that child? Who knows? We'll just get a bit of an update on that. But first, what do you think about this, Jim? How, I'm going to present you with this, and how sacrilegious do you think this is? Oh, wait, this way around.
It's just, it's like 13-year-old Reddit behaviour. It just sent me a little thing saying learn about the Bible, which is obviously taking a match or a lighter or something to that fucking, this weird lighter that it's got. What, you don't like Jesus?
No, what do you think
you
about
don't like
that?
Jesus?
No, I do you know... So it's Jehovah's Witnesses that's given me the business card. They came over earlier. Yeah. I love a Jehovah's Witness visit. I'm one of those freaks because you know what I'm like. I like to talk about all these like big kind of conceptual topics and stuff like that, and that's their entire thing.
Yeah,
that's like they live for that. That's the whole deal.
Do you know they get their own planet when they die? That's a sweet...
Well, they don't, but those fuckers think they do.
I know, but like, if you're going to choose one, that's a pretty sweet fucking deal, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, like, it's going to be crowded in, like, regular Christian heaven, isn't it? It's like, but like a planet to yourself.
It's like they've got their own VIP room.
Yeah.
Well, actually... Eventually, that planet's going to get really fucking crowded as well.
What?
Did they die on that one and go to like? Is it like a chain?
No, you just get like a planet all to yourself that you can just do whatever the fuck you want with.
Maybe if I'd have gone to the QR code on that business card that they gave me instead of burning it, I would have found out. But I've not burnt the QR code bit. Yeah. No, but I do like it when they come round because like. They'll come round looking like they're about to sell me something. I'm like, oh, what the fuck's going on here? And he'll say, well, I just had a quick question. What did he ask? He said, do you think it's possible to be happy forever? Or something like that. And I was like, here we go.
Yeah.
You don't know whose house you knocked on,
rubs
buddy.
fucking hands. Greedily rubs hands. Come in, I'll show you that I'm not fucking happy now.
I'm about to make you uncomfortable. So yeah, I was like, this guy's ready for a philosophical debate. Normally I have to tie people up for that sort of thing. But yeah, I just like it because... to a certain extent, though, like, I'm worse than them with it, so they get a bit freaked out by me in that I'm too actively listening to what they say. Because obviously, most of the time, they're going to get people saying, no, I'm not interested, and shutting door on them, and that they'll be very used to that. And then a lot of the time they'll also get people who are like, I'll listen to them and be nice to them, but they're not asked, and they might even half listen to them, and then that's enough to be like, to trigger whoever door they've knocked on to be like, oh shit, actually, maybe that's a good point. So sometimes they'll get that as well. But then you'll get the people who are full listening, which is what I was doing, where it's like, well, actually, your point makes no sense at all in any way. And then they're like, oh, you're right. Because what he said was, do you think it's possible to be like happy? I can't fully remember what he said, but it was something along the lines of, do you think it's possible to be happy all the time? And they said, because in this scripture that, is from the Bible, it said that God created his kingdom, or something like that.
This is in the Jehovah's Witness version of the Bible.
Whatever, I don't care. It don't matter. He's saying in his whatever scripture he follows, it don't not even. And he said, so do you think that it'd make sense that that the creator would create that place for people to be happy in? I said, well, yeah, it would make sense in a lot of ways with the logic that we've got, that if someone's making somewhere to live, then they would want it to be a place where they'd be happy. But two things. One, God's not living there, according to your own scripture. Yeah. So depends on his intent for who he's put in there. He might fucking hate us. Yeah. He might want us to live in agony constantly, so maybe that'd be more logical. But also, even if we do say that his intent was to make it as good as possible, I don't mean it's always going to happen. As I've just said, I don't think we can be happy forever. Yeah. So, and then he was like, oh. And he was like, oh shit, maybe I'm wrong. But I don't know, I just find that really funny. It's not that, like, the fun isn't, by the way, in disorienting some Jehovah's Witnesses. That's not what I'm trying to tear down his faith. Yeah, I just really love talking about big concept things like that. Yeah, and I don't want to sound really cocky here, but the most joyous bit about anything like that is if someone brings up something that I've not thought of before, and I go, oh, and normally what happens from there is you then think about it for a bit and go, oh, well, actually, that doesn't actually matter. I was kind of right in the first place. But even better, it's like a legendary in this sort of, a legendary rarity is when someone, you get a point and you're like, oh, it might be right. And then that's like gold. That's brilliant. It's like, oh, there's another concept that might be more right than what I thought. And it's like, I could become more enlightened here. Surely that's just good. Yeah. Like, that's what I love about it. So, yeah, Jehovah's Witness came around earlier. Pretty fun.
Jehovah? I hardly know her.
Nice. Yeah, I should have just said that.
And closed the door.
That would have been good.
That's what I'm going to do.
See, this is why we do this shit, right? With a good balance. I'm talking about kind of some deep levels of enlightenment, and you go, here's what Joe is. Yeah.
Good cop, bad cop.
Good podcast.
Where's my planet?
Oh, good. What's So, do you often get them come to your house?
No, we've never had them come up our ends.
It's a bit more tucked away.
I think I've been at Dad's before, and they've shown up at Dad's.
Right, but you don't. You won't normally be the person to answer the door as a thing either, would you?
I think I was this one time because I think I was watching their dog Charlie for them.
Ah, right.
And I came to the door.
What's your go to with that then?
It's usually just sorry, I'm agnostic.
Oh, so well,
yeah.
Thing is with that though, then like they get a bit like, oh, so we might be able to convince
I know, but then the thing is it's like I know everything about you because like it's one of my interests as well. Is just learning about religion because I just find religion interesting.
It baffles me.
Yeah.
How so many people can be religious for a start.
Yeah.
It is really interesting. It's super interesting, especially because it's so widespread. Yeah. My general impression of like religions is that the vast majority of them are really incredibly obviously a scam.
Yeah.
Like really, really obviously.
Yeah.
And but most people, more people than not, are religious in the world.
Yeah.
How has that happened? How are more people falling for what's obviously a scam?
Yeah.
Or it seems
I feel like just because for so long it was so hard to sort of like disprove this stuff. I'm talking about like from year zero up until like the 1800s, basically. Maybe a little bit sooner than that, but you know, still like a good nearly 2,000 years.
Yeah.
It's been so ingrained into every culture and fucking like social hierarchy. It's like you know, it's like king and god. It's like the two rulers. So you know, even now that we're at this point where we got a lot more answers to stuff and we can rationalize stuff a lot more, it's been so fundamentally embedded in like just the way the world works. It's
still
like,
unique in that, though, in that a good example would be being against gay people has been like that for the relatively the same amount of time, right? In that it's only until like
I don't know really, because
perhaps,
you look back at like the ancient Greeks and the Romans, and they weren't bothered. They didn't care
they
at all.
also
Like,
weren't particularly religious either. They
were-
believed
they
in
were-
gods,
they-
but well, actually,
they were
incredibly
religious. They were.
I suppose just not in the
pagan
ways I was
yeah.
thinking. You're right.
Yeah.
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 Maybe. But not all cultures have all been religious as well, is the other thing. So you can't just pinpoint one that was okay with gays, because I could probably find one that was not religious. You know,
I think you'd really struggle. I feel like you'd
possible.
struggle a lot more to find like cultures that have no religious influence than to like find cultures that have no like hateful influences.
Well, it's not it doesn't need no religious influence.
Yeah.
It just need to be not majority religious, not particularly religious culture. But anyway, the point that I was saying is it's still really interesting that it's so prevalent when it seems to someone who is as close as an atheist as you can be, because you can't atheist is impossible. You can't know that God doesn't exist. It's ridiculous to say that I am an atheist. It's just stupid. You're as much agnostic as you can be.
Yeah.
You know. So that's what I am basically.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind that so many people can still be religious, but the way that I think is more the thing that I think explains it best is that it shows how people's desire to feel better outweighs what makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because obviously religion offers a lot more kind of comfort and answers, even if they don't make sense. You don't care. It kind of is nicer to believe in.
I don't know if I always found that it has done. It obviously does for other people, but for me,
I know it doesn't for me.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean, and not for most people.
I think it introduced a little bit of cosmic horror into it. It's like, you mean there's a guy who's like going to judge everything I do? He's always watching me, and he's not leaving me presents every year? Fuck this.
You just saw that wank you had earlier.
Well,
enjoy, mate.
Yeah, enjoy that.
Enjoy the show.
I'll fucking end up with your son in the lake of fire. I'm not bothered. Throw me down, Abaddon. I do not give a fuck.
Well, Barry would also be going to help.
But that's the theme for Barry.
Okay. We tried to engage in this practice of like watching something that the other recommends that we kind of haven't got round to.
Yeah.
Judd's done terrible at this.
Terrible.
I gave him 2 choices and he's not even started one of them.
To be
and this has been like a month since we mentioned this as well.
My 2 forms of media that you recommended me to, one was a game. I do
Death's Door, I think, was a cheaper one.
And then also Utopia was the show that I should start watching. I did try to get around to watching Utopia. I finished off what we were watching. I was like, now we've got to watch Utopia, and they're in Tenerife, so we can't do that. And then also Space Marine 2 has recently just come out, so I've been playing that.
Yeah. So. Well, it kind of, like I said last time to you, off podcast, it kind of works out all right anyway. And I think what's better is if we take it in turns to both do the recommended thing. Yeah. So now that I've finished watching Barry, once you start Utopia, I'll start watching it as well, because you forget a lot about some of your favourite stuff, don't you? So I think that'd be better to discuss
I have been watching clips of Barry again just to be like, oh, he's going to be near this bit.
Yeah. I'm done with it now. Through the whole season,
season 4 or
the whole show. The whole show.
Yeah.
It's always felt like to be honest, I've never, apart from season 1, after that, maybe going to season 2, I start to realise, there's not really a direction with this show. Yeah,
it's sort of. It is, a lot of it is Barry just going through the motions, and then stuff sort of like gets added to what's going on, and it's more like the world around Barry moves but Barry doesn't
Kinda.
move. I feel like that's almost intentional.
Yeah.
Apart from the last season when we go, oh, okay, everything's changed.
Yeah, there's obviously going to be spoilers, so...
Yeah.
But I don't know, it kind of... for starters, I liked it a lot.
Okay.
And I liked it a lot more watching it on my own, I think. I think it's almost like a more personal show.
It is, yeah.
I think, and I don't think you watched it on your own, did you?
I didn't. I watched it with my nan and granddad, but it really connected with me. I gotta be honest.
I think you got, well, that's a bit...
No, it did. I know it's awful,
Connected
but
with a serial
yeah,
killer,
no, I
yeah.
know it's awful, but you know how everybody has
Hitman, not serial killer.
Yeah. Well, the job being dad is that one is a job and the other is mental sickness. What were I going to say? Yeah. Fuck, it's gone. Yeah. Everybody has, well, not everybody, but you know, so many people have literally me characters, and
Yeah.
it's usually fucking either Homelander or Ryan Gosling. And I do love me some Homelander, but it's definitely not a.
Fucking Christian Bale. in
Yeah,
American
Christian.
Pie.
Yeah.
I've always found that one the weirdest.
I
one.
know. But anyway, yeah,
Patrick Bateman is his
yeah.
name.
My literally me character is Barry Berkman. I very much connect with Barry. I know that's awful to say that, but it's like
I feel like
Yeah.
I've got more reason to connect with him than you have.
okay,
Here's why. Because essentially his whole character is him, like, kind of not knowing what to do with himself, being almost misunderstood and kind of put into this hitman role that people want him to do. Then he finds something that he actually wants to do, but as much as he's really trying to escape, he's just not allowed to escape this hitman thing. I feel like I resonate with that a lot more in terms of, like, I tried for so fucking hard to do music and put loads of effort into it, even not just music, creation. Like I've said, quitting fucking posting stuff to the internet that I've been trying to do for fucking 10 years, you know? And I fucking hate listening to people moan about their IT fucking problems every day. So it feels more like that I can relate to that more in that I'm kind of, I don't know, that, but that's, everyone always feels like that, don't they? They always kind of twist the parts of what they relate to more in characters, don't they?
for me, it's more. And this is going to get deep. But for me, it's more the idea of desperately trying to change and get better, but still falling into the same like awful routines and like, you know,
maybe that kind of shows a lot of what's good in that show then, because a lot of people can kind of relate in different ways. Sorry, I'm just futzing about with
whoa
camera for some reason. I don't know why.
I was pink.
Anyway, carry on talking about
No,
that.
I was just saying that, you know, it's like the idea of like wanting to change and trying to like justify your actions all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I think there's a lot to take from it. It's a good show. Good show. I didn't like how it didn't feel like there was a throughput to the story so much. It felt like each season they were kind of like, oh, what's going to happen this season, rather than like, this is the story.
Yeah.
And there's a start and an end.
Yeah.
And here's the chunks that we're going to section out to make seasons out of.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I got a little bit jarred by the last season being kind of like almost... Well, it were almost two different seasons in itself, in that the situation changed massively halfway through.
Huge time skip, 12-year time skip.
I thought it was... And it was particularly, like, confusing because... He would do like flash forwards and stuff in his memory and everything. Yeah. And eventually that last one, I was like, so I guess this one isn't one then.
Yeah.
And I think I could see how a lot of people might really like that, but it just doesn't help your audience.
I know. The thing is, I usually don't like it when shows do this shit. I just fucking loved it when Barry did it, and maybe that's just me glazing on some Barry Berkman, some of his Burke.
Maybe I think it's probably because you just were already liking it.
Maybe, but it's I don't know. I think that whole end of season 4 is supposed to be like very like speculative, because a lot of like weird shit happens in that last bit of that season, like the bit with Sally when that dude's just in the home with her.
Yeah, what the fuck was
I
that?
know.
I
It's like,
thought
yeah.
it was that, like, guy that she'd, like, grabbed his cock or something. Like, you know,
Yeah.
that guy she, like, threatened
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
bathroom
yeah.
or something. That were all weird. People were acting, like, really, like, strangely off the wall and dramatic at certain points. But that's a scenario where too many times in artsier shows and movies, people make their characters act like that.
Yeah.
Just because they think it's more interesting. You have to, like, earn characters being able to act like that.
Yeah.
As in Sally fucking freaking out and being weird to that guy's dick in that diner. Like, at that point, for starters, she's already a very dramatic, like,
Yeah.
person in
Yeah.
terms of artsy. She's gone through a lot of shit by then, and he's currently in this really fucked up, weird scenario.
Yeah.
So that's a great example that I would point to people writing stories of where, like, you're now allowed to
Yeah.
have characters fucking do weird shit and
Yeah.
it feels impactful rather than them just acting like fucking freaks, you know?
I like how I don't know if the word is esoteric, but I just liked some of the shit they did. Like, I loved. Again, this sounds terrible. I love the scene where Barry Berkman gets his fucking brains smashed in, and it's episode 1 of season 4 when he says to that guard, "I'm a fucking god killer," and he gets him to smash. The whole scene where like you hear the footsteps approach him, he like gently closes his eyes. You just see the blood start to run down his head, and he's there again on that beach which has always symbolised the afterlife and moving on to Barry.
And the way I'm literally getting shivers at the way they transition to show that at the first part.
Yeah.
And now I've as much as I think that scene's brilliant and the transition for that, but I do still have a problem with it. It's just a little. It's not quite as on the nose as I'd have liked it to be. We're a bit too open to interpretation of what was going on there.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was more clear once he saw the beach again that it was probably supposed to be some sort of, maybe not the afterlife, but maybe like the transition to it or something. Because
it all looked like they were waiting. They looked like they were stood on that beach waiting for something, didn't it? So
and both times that he saw that, he was on the brink of death. So like, but even so, I think it can be a little bit too artsy stuff like that. You have to be really careful. I think they just about got away with it. Yeah. But the transition when he's walking down that street, I think it's season 3, that one, isn't it?
Oh, which one? He's bleeding out and dying. Yeah.
When he's walking down that street, and then like it pans across, and it's just the beach.
Yeah.
And there's like waves moving along. That's so nice.
There's so many bits in Barry that you're just like, what? Oh my god, what's his fucking name? Who plays Barry?
Bill
Hader. Yeah, I'm like, Bill Hader, what are you doing? What are you doing in this show?
I love that he's just like he's done his comedy thing, did it great, and he's gone. So okay, I'm gonna make my show now.
And it is still comedy, but then there's other bits where you're like, what the fuck?
It's good. It's good.
It's one of my favourite
shows. I scored
shows.
it not as high as you'd expect, to be honest, because I kind of had problems with the last season. It weren't that like even like as I was enjoying it, it wasn't like it was giving me incredible feelings by any means. So I give it 72 out of 100, which is a very solid, respectable score. And you give it 90 out of 100. I understand the 90. Yeah. I still think I think it's a bit overrated, but it's pretty good show. I would recommend people watching it, just not like, I don't know, I'm not about to suck Blair's gun. And just want to kind of like say, because it's mostly fresh in my mind, about the ending.
What you just mean, like how it all wrapped up, or?
Yeah, it just felt a little bit sudden and not massively interesting and gratifying way of ending things, because I almost understand it in terms it felt more real and kind of like at some point someone just, I don't know, that could just happen. Someone's just going to kill him at some point. But, like, I don't know. It just doesn't make for particularly good story to me. And I am sucker for, like, obvious stories, like superhero stories where you kind of know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why those stories are good. And just breaking the norm... I don't want to say Barry broke the norm for the sake of it, but breaking the norm for the sake of it, I don't like.
Yeah,
is what I will say.
I think when it decided to like go a bit weird, it's because it was trying to like do like it was just trying to do it well. It wasn't trying to be like, oh look how brilliant we are. It's just like they're just being fucking cool. They're just being cool as shit.
Well, I don't know. I'm talking about like Gene killing Barry at the end. I just feel like I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
I had the same reaction that he did. He went,
wow.
And it was like, but inherently, because you can see Barry's reaction, the one that we had, that's not a particularly like massively interesting or exciting reaction to end your show with. I don't think anyway.
I'll be honest. I kind of liked it. I just liked it. Just like that he just walked in and just fucking shot him.
I think you've just really resonated with a vibe on this.
I really have. It really it got me, Barry.
I think you can probably, if you try and be objective and see it how it maybe should be judged, if you were to judge it.
Yeah.
Would you probably agree?
I don't know.
I
just felt like it was like. For me, for the story that it was trying to tell, there couldn't have been a happy ending. For Barry, not for everybody.
Expect or want that.
I think some of them could have, and they kind of did. Some of them kind of did get happy endings, but they were like bittersweet kind of thing.
Happier than it could have been.
Yeah, didn't end up with a bullet in their head at the end of the show. Yeah. And I was happy with where everybody sort of left off. The most heartbreaking, really, the character I sort of felt the worst for was actually Mr. Kusano.
Yeah, I think so.
Because, ever since he's not a good dude at all. He's quite slimy, if anything. But he's not like a bad person. It's not like he doesn't deserve bad things to happen to him. And ever since he met Barry, it was one bad thing after another. And I totally
at the ending of how much he got blamed for it.
I know, and everybody were like dogpiling. It was like, this isn't me. I'm telling you.
But even so, that's why I think the last season felt a little bit more janky in terms of storytelling, because that felt a bit like almost out of nowhere as well, that people just decided to turn on him. They weren't like, I don't know, it were just a bit... There were a bit less reason to that. It felt more like the writers wanted that to happen than the story that happened in the story, if that makes sense. Yeah. No, I'm not saying it felt like that a lot necessarily, but it did feel a lot more, notably more like that than other seasons of the show. And I would say Kusno I feel worse for, but I feel worse for Barry's kid, probably. Because and I just didn't. And this is more of a me thing. I don't like when that happens. Like that he's had a kid, and now it's like, oh, now I have to know like a kid's life's been fucked up from this, and it's like, oh, yeah. It kind of like, I don't know. The rest of the characters, other than his kid, were almost like, it almost felt okay for any direction to happen to them. Whereas the kid, it was just like, oh, I just feel bad that this is happening to this kid.
But I feel like that was the point, because Barry had spent the entire show dreaming up this perfect life where he has a wife and a little boy, and he's always so happy. Yeah. And then he's like got it, but he's fumbled it. He's like he has that life that he's always dreamt of, and it's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, and it's not as good as it's not. Yeah, I know it is more of a me thing. It's kind of the same sort of thing as like when the lead character gets nerfed as part of the story. I don't like that. It's just something that bothers me, and I know that that's probably good storytelling to do stuff like that. And same with him having a kid as well. And I did think like the last bit where the kid watches the movie where it's like glorifying his dad and seeing Gene as a bad guy and stuff. That was a bit like, I was watching that before going to bed, and I was like, oh, I felt that. It was. I don't know as I even liked it, because I didn't like that he was like having this kid, and like I don't like. It kind of freaks me out personally. But that scene really did kind of. Oh, it gave you the.
I know he was buried with full honours, and Gene Kusano is still in prison.
And no one likes that outcome. Like Barry would hate that outcome as well.
Yeah, he was literally like, call the police, I'm going to turn myself in, and then Gene shot him.
He fucked it.
I know, totally fucked it. Totally fucked it.
But,
oh wow!
But at that point, like It's a good show.
Yeah.
It's a good show. Some of it was really quite funny as well. It feels like there's season 1, a weird blur, and then season 4.
I think my favourite episode was in season 2, and that's when he goes. He's been told to go and kill that guy, but he doesn't want to. He wants to like get him out of the state for a bit.
Yeah, with his daughter.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with his daughter. They're like fighting each other in the fucking supermarkets.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
I know, because like, there's a lot I enjoyed about that, but there's also like a lot that kind of.
It got very cartoony in some points, that episode, yeah.
Sometimes a show, like, while trying to have little dollops of comedy and stuff, you don't necessarily know what it wants to be sometimes as well, I think, when doing that.
Yeah.
And that girl were, like, supernatural. You know what I mean? So it's like, is this actually grounded in reality or what?
What are you?
It's like, it makes it hard to know how seriously to take it at certain points.
When it's like, come on, we gotta go kill the kid, it's like, I'm not killing a kid, Fuchs, and plus, I don't think she's of this world.
It's like, it's good, it's funny, but then you'll have a scene that's utterly heartbreaking and like, am I supposed to laugh at his heartbreak? I guess maybe it's a bit of an autism thing from me, but it's, I think that flirting with those boundaries can be really good, and I think it did do a great job of it, but I think it's almost impossible when you're doing that not to be a bit confusing in tone.
Yeah.
And I think it definitely was confusing in tone.
Yeah, it was
as well.
It was. But yeah, I think that was his intention, to be honest.
Yeah, and you know, intention-wise, it was pulled off, but just because it's someone's intention doesn't mean it's a good decision either. So I'm trying to say more negative things about it because I know you're going to have plenty of positive things that I also do agree with a lot. So that's Barry. It's a good show. It's one of those weird ones. I like that it's 4 seasons. It's not like linked to something.
Yeah.
It's fairly unique. It's just a kind of, you can just say, oh, watch Barry for 4 seasons.
Yeah.
There's
I know
there's like certain shows you might like watch and there's more repercussions to it, like Dune nowadays.
Yeah.
Oh, now there's a season. Now there's another movie.
I also feel like it's kind of one for everybody, Barry, because it's like it's a comedy. It's got great acting. It's also it's an action. Well, no, that's probably the only thing I would.
Yeah. It's not like action though. Like, as in, I could still see Jasmine liking it, even though she don't like violence. You know what I mean?
There are some like real action scenes, like when Barry does the raid on the headquarters.
But it's never necessarily for the action. Like, the action's kind of part of other things.
It's more to watch Barry fucking slowly become less and less human.
Yeah. I liked the patience that they had to slowly make him go more mental, basically. Yeah.
And there's some bits in the show where I genuinely thought he was like terrifying. There's the one bit that really got me where I was just like, oh, actually, I didn't realize how fucked up he was, but he is when he's in Jean's house and he's like, if you don't go along with this one, and he's like pointing to his grandson and that one, and to his son, it's like, go away, and then Jean's like, okay, all right, and then he's like just staring at him, and he just goes, Mr. Cousineau. Yeah. It's like, oh my god, Barry, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, can you say it? Can you say it again?
Bless him. The real villain in all of this really was, and also kind of, I mean, to not mention Fuchs as well.
Yeah, Fuchs.
He was the real villain, I guess.
He was a fucker, Fuchs. He had his moment of like clarity and understood what he was doing wrong, but then he didn't then become a better person. He almost
he kind of went the other way.
He accepted it, didn't he? Like fell into it.
He literally fully converted to like a proper, more stereotype villain by the end of it.
Yeah.
But again, those sorts of things, it didn't feel like there was a plan for that to be his arc. It felt like it was more on the fly decided between seasons to me, which I weren't a fan. Whether it was done like that or not, I don't know, but it felt like that, and I'm not sure that's kind of a reason why, like, because in theory, if it weren't for like a lot of that sort of thing, that would have been like 80s, high 80s perhaps, but I don't know, it kind of got a big chunk knocked down for that, while still being a really solid good show. I think it's really weird because something like this, where it's obviously good, Like, there's no point like debating whether it's good or not.
Yeah.
When something's definitely good, I think it's more interesting to talk about the flaws of it.
Yeah.
And when something's definitely bad, I think it's good to talk about the few things that you liked about it and then hate on the bad things as well. Just the negatives are more interesting in stuff like this. So yeah, cool, Barry, solid show. I liked it. So I'll start watching. I've actually just started rewatching Solar Opposites, because I saw on Disney Plus there's a new season coming. I was like, what the holy shit!
Yeah,
Because I figured, after Justin Roiland got cancelled, there'd be more Rick and Morty. But I figured, well, Solar Opposites is fucked then.
No, I think they replaced the voice actor for him on Solar Opposites before they actually did on Rick and Morty.
Right.
So
yeah, and I must have missed that because I think there's 2 seasons worth I've not seen.
Yeah.
Where his voice is replaced.
yeah.
I thought there was just one.
It's just an entirely different guy doing a whole different thing.
Yeah.
They didn't even try to.
I noticed that, and I hate it.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
I'd rather it be not quite right, but at least like the same vibe.
Yeah.
Because like the voice, especially in animation, is so integral to how characters' attitude feels.
Yeah.
That I feel like it's gonna fuck that character completely, and it's basically the main character.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm gonna see how it goes. It made me realise I forgot a lot of the The Wall episodes in that show.
Yeah.
So I thought, fuck it, I'll just watch the whole thing again. So I'm watching that, but that's like a casual thing. I'll start watching Utopia again soon. I tend to get through shows quicker than you, I think, because I like watching while I'm working.
Yeah.
So I might wait while you've seen a few episodes and then start watching it as well. Okay. Dr. Disrespect. Oh, updates, DZ Anons. He's back.
Yeah.
He's back, talking about whether he sexted a minor. The basic update is he came back and kind of he went on holiday, came back, and he's gone, fucking bullshit, I'm carrying on streaming anyway. Here's why it's bullshit, here's all the things. And I would say people should, and they won't have because it's the internet, think he looks a tiny bit better as a result of what he said.
Yeah.
Basically, not multiple committees and companies and legal bodies didn't find anything illegal happened at all. So he didn't do anything illegal.
Okay.
Right? So, okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know that one of the big things that you straight away jumped on was like the moral issue of maybe sending inappropriate messages to someone who's not your wife and kids.
Yeah, my biggest issue with it though was how he didn't seem to handle it at all. Like he sort of just went away, and that to me was like, it felt like well, where there's smoke, there's fire. But now if it was just that he wanted to go away, spend some time spending the time to properly respond, then great. Awesome.
Essentially, like it felt like he was waiting for everyone to cool down.
Yeah.
While he's not going to respond while they're already saying, "Oh, you're a nonce, you're a nonce, you're a nonce."
Yeah.
He'll wait for him to shut up and then say, "No, here's why I'm not, you fucking idiot."
Yeah.
But so and while I'll kind of go to that, I think the important thing is to work out whether he's done the worst crime first, and then we'll maybe talk about other stuff that might be a little bit so nothing illegal's happened at all. Basically, he's described the nature of what the messages would have been more, and it was just inappropriate jokes, like not like what could be inappropriate jokes. So it might be like telling a dark joke about rape around someone who's 15.
Yeah.
That's inappropriate around them. But that's not like... There's nothing to suggest that you might want to nonce that 15-year-old there. You see what I'm saying? We're not talking like an Ava Chris Tyson situation here.
Yeah.
So it was a lot more perhaps something like that, according to him and how he's described it. He gave a lot of reasons why the guy who essentially outed him for doing these things would be very biased against him.
Yeah.
And those made a lot of sense. I think the main thing, though, with it on this end, I could say probably more details and things like that, is the obvious thing that everyone was saying in the first place was, well, if you've not done anything that wrong here, release the DMs. Right? And, of course, people are still saying, okay, all right, we're on your side here. That's great that you're telling us this now. Let's see the DMs, though.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even need to do any of that. Just release the DMs, man. Like, fucking hell. And his response to that, of people spamming that in chat, was, what are we, in 5th grade? What?
Yeah, that doesn't.
What do you mean, what are we in 5th grade? No! We're talking about, are you a paedophile here? That's not a 5th grade situation.
Yeah.
Like, so that's the thing, like, it feels weird. Like, to me, a lot of stuff points towards him not actually have done that much wrong. But it feels like, just feeling-wise, you don't feel like he's done a lot wrong legally and, you know, against the supposed victim.
Yeah.
But he's being really fucking weird about it.
Yeah.
Like unnecessarily weird.
Yeah.
And he was saying stuff like, he used the term inappropriate about his messages on purpose to see how much people would run away with that and pretend that he meant sexually explicit.
Mm-hmm.
And he never said they were. He just said inappropriate. Now, what was I saying initially when he just said inappropriate? I was saying essentially exactly what he's saying.
Yeah.
But why would you test them? Like, why would you even give them the opportunity to debate that?
Yeah.
Like, that's such fucking weird behaviour. Like, what is this? Some sort of personal social experiment that's going to ruin your career? Like, what the fuck? That's such a weird way to handle that.
Yeah.
So it's strange because it really there's some parts of it that really do seem like it might not be as bad as it potentially could be, but then he handles it like a fucking moron. So it still could be, is the thing.
Yeah.
Because he won't release the DMs is the main problem.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it comes to the wife and kids thing and like whether you should be, you know, sexually talking to anyone while you've got wife and kids, he's talked about the nature of what the DMs were more, and it sounds like, without him trying to make it sound like that, if that makes sense, sounds like by accident that they weren't necessarily sexually explicit. Like I said, they were more just inappropriate topics to talk to someone who's not. Well, and also he said, it sounds like this person was 16 or 17, because he said that they weren't even a minor in the country they're from as well. So they might have been from the UK, for example, and been 16 or 17. Yeah. So, yeah. So if they're saying, like, an adult joke to a 16-year-old...
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It sounds like that's the most likely scenario right now.
Yeah.
Is that he's made something like, let's say, a fucking Holocaust rape joke, something really distasteful.
Yeah.
Like, to make it as bad as possible, to a 16-year-old. Who is a Jew. Let's say, like, make it even worse.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's not illegal to do.
No.
And it's actually, to do that, is not even dishonouring your wife and kids as well, if you think about it in that way. I don't know. I think that's kind of all I've got to say. It's kind of all weird, man. Like, I still don't want to. I don't really pick sides in these sorts of things, but I kind of am not on his side in a way still, because, like, fucking release the DMs then. You know, it's like there's a really simple way to not deal with this like a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
But equally, I do think it's overblown, and I do think he's getting extra hate, and I think people need to critically think about things. I think I will just say that at the end of any sentence I could ever say. So, knowing all that now, what do you think? What's the impression you get?
To be honest, I'm not too bothered. I was never too bothered about it as it was happening.
Yeah.
I was just hoping he hadn't fucked a kid, and I don't think he has. So
that's looking almost certainly not the case.
So great. Like, that's all that matters, isn't it?
Do you know what? Actually, people should focus on that more.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? No kids were fucked.
He didn't even want to fuck a kid. So good. Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You mentioned Space Season 2.
We're only going to bring it up very briefly. So
it's a new game.
Yeah, it's a new game, came out
what genre of
last
game?
week. Hack and slash.
Hack and slash?
Yeah.
Okay.
And shoot. Bang bang.
And shoot. That's
shoot.
3 things.
That's 3 things, yeah. It's, to be honest, the gameplay's great. The story is incredibly mid. If you're into Warhammer, it'll be a little bit better, but still mid. And it just needs to be longer. It just needs to be more of it.
AAA, it is, isn't it? You said it was about 70. Yeah.
It's just, I think I was doing it in about 2 days. So
Have you seen the general ratings on it or anything like that?
they like it, I think.
Let's look at like Metacritic.
Yeah, you'll have a look at that while I go throw up. So,
Throw up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Throw up. I'm gonna go throw up.
Wow, that's an interesting turn of events. Yeah, talking about Doctor Disrespect being a nonsense made Judd feel sick. Yeah, it seems this game seems favoured a lot. 83% from critics. 83 out of 100, and then 79 out of 100 from users. Judd tells me about these sorts of games, and that are to do with Warhammer, because he's obviously into Warhammer, and then there's video games surrounding them and that. It looks pretty fucking cool, actually. I'm just seeing the trailer, but I don't know. It feels a little bit.
I'm good.
Okay.
I've been really sick like this past day.
Don't make us more sick,
Well,
by the way.
that's
'cause we've just gotten over some illness.
I'll leave soon after this because I just.
But I want to watch Borderlands.
And we'll do that next week when I'm not like throwing up,
Okay.
because that will make me fucking throw up.
Is the game good or bad then?
It's good. Like the gameplay's good, but it's like the story's probably about like 6 hours long.
That's not a short story.
I know,
necessarily.
but then it's like when you look at the end game stuff, there's only like 6 operations to run, which probably like are about 30 or 40 minutes apiece, and then the PvP's only like 5 versus 5 dudes in like the same 5 or 6 arenas.
I just feel like I could play Gears of War.
I'd say this is better. Like,
Really?
I wouldn't, and I'm not just saying that because Warhammer. I generally feel like I'd say play the first Space Marine first though, because it's like £2.
Yeah, I would never pay full price for something like this.
Yeah.
It's like a nice 6-hour experience. Paying, if it's in something that you particularly like, £30. If it's something that you're not as interested in, maybe 20, 15. Cool. Especially if you've waited a few years before it's been out a few years to do. I don't know. I just think that like games when they're already preset in a universe like this are harder to feel like I can get into.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it feels like maybe there's a bit of an obligation to the rest of. In the same way that we were talking about Barry not having something else for it to be linked to. It's just nice that you can just watch Barry. Whereas with this, there's like. Even if you think, well, the story stands alone on its own, so you don't have to be interested in the other stuff, the fact that it is linked to all those other things and maybe you think you might miss out on them or something has a bit of a vibe to it. That...
No, like, you can jump into the first Space Marine and know what's going on, but, like, in every other sentence, somebody will say a phrase or a word where you're just like, well, what's that? I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Well, it sounds cool, but basically, if you like Warhammer, have a go.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 70.
Okay, let's plonk that on the video game spreadsheet, which doesn't get a lot of attention, by the way, the video game spreadsheet, because it takes a lot longer to kind of like play games and rate them and stuff, doesn't it? So it's Warhammer 40k. I'm gonna put.
Okay.
Space Marine 2 70?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Okay. Cool. Xbox.
It's great.
You've got it already.
Yeah, I'm gonna blast through this because I'm really not feeling well. Yeah, so basically, I tried getting the Space Marine 2 to work on my PC. Didn't realise I needed an SSD. To
Which
be able
is
to,
weird, by the way. It shouldn't force you to do that, but...
Yeah. And basically, I was just like... I was getting really pissed off with, like, PC gaming anyway, because my computer's about 6 years old, which is ancient for PC world. It's like...
especially with how you treat PCs.
Yeah. I'm not sure what graphics card I'm on, but I'm sure they're on, like, fucking... Are they on, like, 4020s now?
4090 is probably the best one.
Yeah. I don't even think I'm at like 20 something.
No, I think it's a 1060 or a 1070.
Yeah. So I'm about how many fucking generations are those behind? I don't know.
Mine's a 3080.
Yeah.
Mine's not even the top of the newest generation or anything.
And I was just like, you know what? It's such a fucking money pit, this cube. And it's like, I can just buy a console and it just works forever.
No.
It just works forever.
I've said for years, console gaming is... Well, it's more that PC gaming's overrated than console gaming's underrated. Because a lot of people love their console still. It's just that, like, people think of PC gaming as this ultimate way to play games.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah.
It's like, it really depends on what you want to do. Like, for example, the only ways I can see someone getting a PC specifically for gaming is if they're particularly going to be into modding, which... How many people's that? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Come on. It's not going to be a lot. And then if there's certain games that are particularly just, like, objectively better on PC, I'm thinking, less so nowadays, but I'm thinking Minecraft is a lot better on PC.
Yeah.
Like, you can't play Counter-Strike or Valorant not on a PC. Things like that.
Yeah.
But... Minecraft less nowadays because the console experience is a lot better. So I'm more so thinking like certain games like Counter-Strike and Valorant, you don't need a good PC at all to run them. It just needs to be like, okay, £500 would be plenty. Whack it on lowest settings, you'd still get loads of FPS. It's not much of a problem. So, why else? I mean,
I know.
I guess another scenario, again, you don't need a powerful PC for this though, is... emulating old consoles.
Yeah.
So I can play like N64 games and Super Nintendo and all sorts. That's useful.
I'm sure you could do that on like your mum's laptop.
Probably, yeah. It's not hard.
Yeah.
You can even get nowadays if you want. You can buy like an NES Mini type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's not as good and it costs a lot of money. So you may as well buy a laptop instead and do it on there and have more functions. But basically, what I'm saying is, while you can definitely identify some really good positives about PC gaming, if you're just looking to play the fucking game...
Yeah, just get a console.
It's like... It's so much more likely to work.
Yeah.
Like, it's just for that.
And phenomenally cheaper. I grabbed an Xbox Series S for 180 quid.
Yeah. And then people are like, but it's only 30 FPS, but it's not as good quality. But, well, for now the argument about quality and graphics is just bollocks at this point. Yeah, PC gaming, you can get more quality out of things for sure. But it's narrowed massively. I remember when I played Need for Speed Underground 2 for the first time on PS2. And I also remember it when I played it for the first time on PC. That era is drastically different in graphics. Yeah. It's unbelievably different. No wonder people have like latched onto that. Now, it like I said, but it's like not enough to give a shit. The FPS thing, yeah, I can get that. But modern consoles, I'm pretty certain they play every game in 60 FPS as standard. And again, if you're just looking to play a game, you don't need more than that.
No.
Now, if you're looking to play a game really high refresh rate and things like that, and it's a really competitive game, then obviously you've got more justification for a PC. But that shouldn't be the vast majority of people. I think people really overinflate how much they should want to do that.
Yeah.
You know? Like, if you want to play a game of Apex, for example... Play it on 60 FPS on a console. Fuck it, who cares? Like that's perfectly fine. That's competitive enough for you by a long way.
Yeah.
I'm some freak who has to play it at 240 FPS or 165 I play on, but you know, it's just people need to get the priorities right and just buy a fucking console and play a game. I don't know. It's weird.
They do.
Even in terms of PS5 versus Xbox, because there wasn't exclusives that were interesting for you. Seemingly, you went with a cheaper one, right? As well.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, you could argue that perhaps the PS5 will last longer and then you wouldn't have to buy a new console. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And you might save money in the long run, but when you're talking about the cheaper things like that, that also don't matter as much.
Yeah. It wouldn't also save me a whole lot because it was like... No, I was going to say if I then just bought another Xbox Series 1X, but I'd probably buy something a bit stronger. But anyway, exactly. I'm delirious and I'm dying, so...
What's the matter with you? Have you been, like, throwing up all week or something?
You know, I think I had your flu from last week.
How?
Well, I don't know, because, like, I came on Thursday... I was fine on Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday I'm, like, feeling a little bit sniffly, and then Monday it was, like, death. I feel ill.
Yeah, I had COVID.
Oh, you had COVID.
Turns out I had
oh,
COVID.
nice, cool. So
Yeah, I shouldn't have sent you to your grandparents with COVID, really, should I?
then
Didn't think about
Tuesday, I was still ill, but then like Wednesday, I was like, oh, I'm getting better. I feel all right. And then I had the worst night so far.
Right.
Like I was woken up every hour just by sweat pouring out of me, and then I'd just go and throw up like crazy.
See, I'd not realised at that point how ill I was either.
Yeah.
I thought I'd like got a cold from being on holiday.
Yeah.
But on every time I've gone abroad lately, I've come back with COVID. It's pissing me off a lot, actually. And it looks really suspicious with my job.
Yeah.
Because I was supposed to go into the office and I had to be like, I can't, I've got COVID. That's
Yeah.
happened 3 times.
Yeah.
Every time I've gone on leave.
Yeah.
And we had a power cut as well, actually, the other day. So I couldn't do work for like a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And I almost texted my boss to say, I've got a power cut.
Yeah.
If you're trying to contact me, I can't.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Because that looked even more suspicious, like I just couldn't be arsed
Yeah.
after coming home from a holiday.
Yeah.
But yeah, you should be all right by next week at least. Anyway,
hope so.
hopefully, and hopefully you've not given your grandparents any ill.
Yeah.
We'll watch Borderlands next week.
Yes.
Or, well, no, I was just thinking you'll not be well enough to watch it tomorrow or something like that, will you? Probably still.
Probably.
So.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna just double check that I don't need to throw up.
Okay, what a great end to this podcast. We'll see you next time, folks. Stay tuned, subscribe, follow, and all that sort of thing for the grand finale eventually. I've got some notes down. It'll be a lot of fun. I think the way that we'll do it is we will go live and we'll kind of leave the camera live like this so that you can see what's happening in real time, but it might be a case of it almost looks like behind the scenes, because we might do it more like as if we're filming a video, if that makes sense. You'll see. We'll